Welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. This is episode 30. That is 3 lots of 10, 30 lots of 1. What on earth? I know we've just started the episode with maths, but I mean, how much how much better has KELP? That's over 100 times better. Oh, in the previous Hermitcraft episode, I tried playing Ravager Rush for the first time, and the start was slow. I questioned my life choices quite considerably, but there was a world where the high score seemed relatively attainable. This is bonkers. What? How has this escalated so much in the space of like 5 days? This is ridiculous. If you read my score backwards, I still wouldn't be in first place. Would I even be on the podium? Oh, I guess I'd be on the podium. Okay, well, at least that makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know why that means something to me. It really is completely meaningless, but for some reason, that has pleased me mildly. At least I'm still beating Gem. Time to crack on with my projects for the day. Flying things keep appearing around my base. What is going on here? These are amazing, though. How are people so good at building organic structures? Anyway, today it is time for more industrial district business. So in the previous Hermitcraft episode, we built up this gigantic bamboo farm, which is dealing with all of our wood needs. This is the best change that Mojang ever made. The fact that bamboo now can be crafted into planks. I thought I could ignore that guy until he left me alone, but clearly that was not the case. But genuinely, I think out of all the changes that Mojang have made in recent years, this is the most incredible. It just means that you can bulk craft ridiculously useful items like chests, hoppers, pistons. All items that we are going to need an incredibly large quantity of today. Because it is time for me to construct the industrial kelp farm. This is going to be going up the back section here. We're then going to connect it up to an automatic crafting and smelting system so that we get infinite kelp blocks as fuel. And then I might even make an industrial super smelter. Let's quickly pop into the redstone testing world because I've got a tiny bit of designing to do. Okay, let's see if I can remember how to do this. So we have the dirt that the kelp grows on. That's nice and easy. We're detecting the update of the bottom kelp block for when the kelp grows, and then we're immediately going to break that with a piston. So something like this would work for a single unit of kelp, but that's not particularly useful. So instead, something like this could work. It seems intelligent, but then when you place them next to one another, it means every piston in the line is going to fire whenever a single piece of kelp grows. And I mean, that seems kind of clunky, but it does mean I could turn the entire kelp farm off, which is amazing. I want to be able to do that because this thing is outside of my base. Don't even talk to me about this. I mean, in theory, it works. And it works quite nicely. It's quite an elegant little thing. And I do have a lot of gold. And, I mean, it can be turned off. And they stack on top of one another. And now I've made it a lot smarter than the first design that I came up with. It doesn't require any repeaters or anything like that. The pistons stay retracted while the farm is off, which means kelp can grow, which means when we turn it on, all that kelp that has been growing will be harvested, which will be many stacks. So that's a pretty big positive. I'm sure there's better designs out there. I'm sure there's other designs out there, but I do kind of like this. I like the way that it functions. I like the way that it looks. It feels fun to build. And that's the point, isn't it? Like, it seems like it will be a fun one to build. I'm excited for it. It's not something that I've built before. So let's get started. And the first thing that I need to start with is collecting a large quantity of redstone dust. So I've been doing some research into redstone ore distribution because it's been a while since I've gone out mining specifically for it. And it seems like, yep, the deeper you go into the world, the more you're going to get. So Y minus 59, there is 511 redstone ore per 100,000 blocks. Which doesn't sound that common to me. Part of me wonders if it's faster me actually going for regular redstone ore at 92 and 100,000, but with a beacon. Like, it's 5 times less likely, but I feel like it's like 100 times faster. This seems like the perfect opportunity for a very unscientific experiment. Please remember, I am a moron, okay? I'm going to try my best to do this properly, and I'm going to try my best to get some form of somewhat meaningful result. But that doesn't mean that you should listen to anything that I say here. I mean, I can't even find my good pickaxes. I swear I made more pickaxes than this. Is that all I've got? Is that going to be enough? Okay, unless you hadn't caught on yet, I'm going to spend a certain amount of time mining deep slate and gathering deep slate redstone ore, and then I'm going to spend the same amount of time, haven't decided the amount of time yet, gathering up redstone ore at Y12, not in deep slate, with a beacon. And we will see what is best, and we will also gather loads of redstone for our project. It really is a win-win. Oh yeah, it feels good. It feels good to have infinite free sticks. Look at that. Okay, now that I think about it, you know when I said that planks, bamboo planks, were the best thing that Mojang did? I feel like I always forget about the autocrafter. Like I almost take for granted how good the autocrafter is. Okay, that's enough rambling. It's time for science. And as I started, my 2-way test actually turned into a 3-way test. So I decided to do half an hour of each method, which isn't much time, but I'm very glad that I did that because some of my methods were utterly useless. The first method I kind of stumbled across because as I was making my way down to create a little strip mine, I actually stumbled across a cave system and realized that one of the best ways to get resources in Minecraft 1.21 is to go into the caves. So I was looking about all over the place and I managed to get a decent-ish amount of redstone ore, although it was less than I expected. But I did manage to get tons of diamonds. So then it was time to move on to the second method. The second method being traveling down to the bottom of the world and just mining in a straight line. Now, obviously, you see less blocks this way, but you are able to actually be in the area that ores are. You see redstone ore, it generates more towards the bottom of the world, and a lot of the time that I spent caving, just by the nature of it, you're going up and down and you're actually traveling quite high in the Y level, which meant that the amount of redstone ore that I was finding wasn't actually that much. Whereas even though I wasn't seeing that many block faces down at the bottom, I was getting a higher ratio of redstone ore, so this was proving to be quite good. Then it was time for the reason why I tried this entire experiment. You know, when I said that I thought potentially I would be able to get more redstone ore with my beacon and going through stone insta-mining. Well, this is why science exists. I managed to get 5 redstone ore. I don't think I've ever gotten less redstone. I probably could have stood somewhere in the dark and killed witches and got more redstone than this method. And don't even tempt me with that experiment. I am genuinely baffled. I am baffled as to how poorly this performed. I mean, what on earth? I got 4 diamond ore, which is cool. These are really rare, so I'm actually going to keep these for decorative purposes. 5 redstone ore. I suppose I would have got a bunch of stone from it, but I wasn't bothered about the stone, so I left it to despawn because I wanted to focus all my efforts on getting as much redstone ore as possible, and it failed me completely. Goodness gracious me, I am never doing science again. Or I should say, I am never going to come up with a hypothesis again and then test it, because it will make me look stupid. I much prefer just saying stupid things and then never testing them, because then nobody knows that they're stupid. This time I made the mistake of proving myself stupid. This has been a catastrophic disaster. So this is what I managed to get from my caving mission. You can see I got more diamond ore than I actually got redstone, which I guess isn't a bad thing, especially because I can buy redstone with diamonds. And then this is what I managed to get from my strip mining session down at the bottom of the world. A lot more redstone ore and also more diamonds, which is a bit of a surprise. I think I got very lucky there. And then finally, yeah, this was my beacon session. And so resolves my incredibly unscientific test that you really can't take anything meaningful from. Oh, and I have one more redstone related question, because it's become abundantly clear to me that I have earned more in diamonds than I have in redstone dust. If Tango sells 32 redstone blocks for 7 diamonds, how much more redstone did I get from mining the diamonds in my mining session than I did from mining the redstone in my mining session? This has been a very maths-heavy Hermitcraft episode so far, hasn't it? Thankfully, that should be everything I need to do regarding resource gathering. Everything else I should have at hand. The only thing that I do need to pick up is quartz, which hopefully I have a somewhat decent quantity of, thanks to my bartering farm. Oh, I have less than I expected. Thank goodness for that. It looks like I've already collected a bunch. First things first, observers by the bucket load. And already I have almost exhausted all of my redstone supplies. Then I need a ton of powered rails. Oh my gosh, not that much. Well, they'll probably come in handy at some point in the future. Then I need a ton of activator rails, which, to be frankly honest, I don't actually know how to craft. Oh, okay, it turns out slightly weirdly. That should be enough. And now we start building. So I need to do a line of 15 dirt blocks across like this. Then there'll be a little gap, and then there'll be another 15 dirt blocks going along like this. Cool. Okay, so this is how wide our farm is going to be, and then we're going to have a bunch of layers. I have enough observers to make 128 individual kelp harvesters, so that works out to be about 4 layers, which should take us up to the top of this hill here. Now, I've just made a bit of a realization, and that is the fact that I've probably built this thing 1 block too close to the wall. I don't like the idea of this thing touching the wall. I don't know why, so I'm going to move it 2 blocks further forward. I will be the first to admit that this seems mildly pedantic for an area as ugly as this industrial district, but it matters to me. So, all my dirt is in. All of my observers are in, all of the area for the powered rails and things are in, so now it is time to create these, and oh my goodness, this is what I worried about. I worried that this would be a thing. Okay, all is well, so I just have to do a bit of this. Okay, and then... No. No. Alright, I think I have this worked out. There was a brief scare there. It's been a while since I've done any large-scale powered rails stuff. Yes. Okay. This is how I have to do it. All is well. Everything is working. It will take twice as long, but that is fine. Then it's just all of these observers here, and they will all have pistons on the faces, and that is one part of the first layer all done. 1/8 complete. I think I'm getting into a bit of a rhythm now, but of course, as soon as I say that, I start doing stupid stuff like placing stone bricks where I was meant to place a powered rail. Now, of course, we have the off switch line, which runs all the way along the back, and this is everything all done and dusted. Nice one. Okay, that has all gone pretty smoothly. Is it working? Excuse me? What have I done? Oh no. Thank goodness. What are the chances that I would test the one rail or 2 rails? One of the 2 rails that I had done incorrectly. That is ridiculous. Right, I'm so glad that is done, because if I had discovered that issue when there was water in the farm, frankly, I wouldn't have fixed it. I've realized that I've been a tiny bit daft with the way that I've built up this design. Normally, you stack kelp farms like this so that the water flows down them so you can constantly grow kelp. I'm not doing that. Mine is going to be vertical, but it does mean that I have to have a 1 block air gap between each one of the layers. Again, I'm very happy that I thought of this before I built the entire farm, then started putting the water in, because that would have been a rather depressing realization. The exciting upshot of this is that my turn-off line now doesn't have to be back here, but it can actually be on top of the rails, which makes the farm ever so slightly slimmer. And that makes me excited because I'm a weirdo. The farm is now 2 layers high, and look at it. Look how tiny it is. I absolutely love builds that have very small amount of airspace in them. I love like almost every gap being used. There's just these 2 holes here. If I could think of something to fill them with, I would, but there's nothing useful that I could put in there. Gosh, that does look satisfying though, doesn't it? Part of me does wonder if I should have done the tiered system. I mean, this design does work with that as well, but I kind of like the straight up look. It does mean I'm going to have to do a lot more water placing though. That is something that I hadn't thought of. But again, in terms of style points, I think I'm winning. So this is the 3rd layer all done and dusted. Lovely jubbly. This one I've somehow managed to build wrong, but I corrected it with relative ease, and now the farm is all completed. Everything is here for this to be functional. So now I have a redstone tutorial to watch. I think it's time I make use of the Hermitcraft recording studio once again. Oh, and last time I was here, I thought this was a camera. I quickly realized afterwards that this is obviously meant to be a microphone, but I think we can all agree the perspective that it creates is hilarious. And I am going to be doing it again. Where is this zombie? There. Have I found him? Is that the one? Imagine backing your recording studio onto an unlit cave. There's more. There's more areas. It is time for the first ever Mumbo Jumbo reaction video. Joe Hills has made me a redstone tutorial, and I thought it would be funny to react to it live on camera. It's not very often people make me redstone tutorials, so yeah, let's give it a watch.
You know what? It can be a real hassle on the Hermitcraft server.
Did he say hassle? For some reason, I don't feel like Joe Hills often says the word hassle.
To collect the sand that you share as profit from your oak and birch shop.
What? He's done my title cards. This must have taken ages. He's got the font and everything. This is impressive.
Mumbo says, Doc, where is my sand?
I would like to know where my sand is.
I've got the redstone tutorial just for you. It's really quite simple to collect.
He said really quite simple. Okay, he might be in the business of making good redstone tutorials.
Let's hop over to my redstone creative world.
He's made a redstone testing world. This is fantastic. These title cards. These title cards are good.
I've got a redstone block right here to test. Hey, look at that. We did it, and everything was fine. You know, people say don't mess with...
I should probably close the door on my recording studio. It's starting to get dark.
I needed to gather a lot of bamboo signs. As you can see, we've got one here with an arrow.
I sincerely hope he isn't just going to have the redstone tutorial be a bunch of signs. Feels like it's going to be a bunch of signs.
What does that lever do? Well, let me show you in our redstone test world. Why is it still
He's doing good. This is actually pretty accurate to how redstone works.
So we continue down this tunnel to the split of the sand via some sort of redstone mechanism. You'll see that there's a Mumbo sand stack and a dock sand.
Wait, is that actually how it works? How did I not know this? I'm assuming Joe Hills didn't do this part of the redstone. Has this been here all along? How did I not know that this was a thing?
You can tell which one is yours because it hasn't been touched, whereas Doc has been harvested.
I have loads of sand I didn't even know about. What?
Wow, that's a lot of sand, Doc. Leave some for the rest of us. Oh wait, he did. Thanks.
I didn't know. Oh no, I've been complaining. Oh no, I feel really bad. Doc actually has set up a redstone system to give me my sand and do an equal split, and I have just completely not known about that. Thanks, Joe. Your video was extremely good. Well, that is certainly going to make the next part of this project considerably easier. I've honestly never felt so guilty in all my life. In my defense, nobody told me about this system. I don't know how I was meant to know about this system. I don't know how Joe Hills found out about this system. But by Jove, it does seem to exist. Yeah, there's the lever. Wow, I can actually get access to my sand. Doc sand. Wait, what? What? How has the plot thickened? Where is my sand still? How has this happened to me? I was so close. I was so close to having sand. What? There's a bunch of sand in here. Is this my sand? Is this mine? It feels like the right quantity to be mine. My brain is frazzled. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this information. I feel like I've been utterly bamboozled here. I've made a small addition to my sign. Hopefully I can get answers to this soon. Otherwise, I will be relocating my sand into Doc M's trousers. This is demoralizing. Oh, my day has taken a turn that I wasn't expecting. This should hopefully do the trick, and this should hopefully be the last time I have to fill in these furnaces with sand. And now it's time to do the final stages of our kelp farm. So the first thing I have to do is the actual collection of the kelp, which should be really quite simple. It's just a line of hoppers with water flowing into them. I don't think this thing is going to be fast enough to require multiple hopper lines, but we will see. And then somewhere over here, we're going to have to create a kelp drying station and then a kelp crafting station to turn those dried kelp into kelp blocks. And then we're going to need to recirculate some of those kelp blocks to fuel the furnaces that are doing the kelp smelting, and some of the kelp blocks are going to come out, and they're going to be our fuel for the furnace array, which is going to be going over here. I'm like 50% certain that all of that made sense, so now I need to make the box that is going to go around our kelp farm to make sure that none of the kelp flies out, and that is why I needed all of the glass. Despite the fact that I'm covering up all of these farms, I still like being able to see the farms. I'm also absolutely itching to make the factory mega structure that is going to cover this thing. Chimneys, like all sorts of industrialness. It's going to look awesome. Cool. Everything is going very smoothly. The kelp farm is coming together. Now we need to get all of the water in place, and that is going to be a bit of a weird one, but I think I have an idea to do this in a really, really lazy way. Oh my goodness. Okay, I probably need to get the kelp in quite fast because these pistons are going absolutely crazy. Right, I've got the top line of water in place. Okay, now I personally don't think I need any other water buckets because I should just be able to do this going all the way along. Oh my goodness, this is a lot of pistons. I really hope I don't break anything on the server. But despite how ridiculous this whole thing is, it does seem to be functioning quite well. It's making a lot of noise. All right, let's get the kelp and stop this racket. This should hopefully start to calm things down a little bit. Just about. I've got one full row of calm ones. Things are working. This is the most challenging thing I've ever done. Oh, no. Oh, this is not the time. This is not the time. I've made a depressing discovery. Okay, I'm just going to come out with it. There is a chance that this entire farm isn't going to work because of the way that I've built it. And I'm, frankly, trying not to cry. I've put all the kelp in. And you can see that some of the kelp is getting stuck. Some of the kelp is getting stuck. A lot of the kelp is being stuck. Oh my goodness. Okay, yep. Okay. In my commitment to wanting to make this a fully vertical farm, like one where it's just like a nice slim box. I didn't think of one element. I didn't think of an element. And that is the fact that I need to push the kelp out. And sometimes they get stuck in the pistons. It gets stuck in the pistons a lot. And that means they get stuck in the water. I'm hoping I can fix this. I really just wanted to make a cool looking kelp farm. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to do a design that was a little bit different, a little bit weird, a little bit wonky, used some fun mechanics, was fun to build, and I have succeeded on all of those fronts, apart from the fact that the kelp farm doesn't actually work. I'm laughing because I'm actually really upset. Like, I'm really, really upset. Please work when I power the redstone lines. I'm hoping that if I reset all of the water streams, then it will all work properly. So let's observe. Oh, okay. Oh, kelp's coming out. Yeah, the kelp's getting stuck in it. No, the majority of the kelp's getting stuck. Yeah. Okay. At this point, I stood up out of my chair and walked out into the garden of the Airbnb that I was recording in and played with my dog for a bit and contemplated the thought that I might actually have to delete this entire Hermitcraft episode. But as I threw that little stick around, I had a bit of an idea. Sure, it was a tiny bit annoying and it took a little while to create, but if I segmented off each one of the water streams, I could create my own individual flowing water for each layer, and all of the kelp would be fired out and dropped down into the hoppers. And this reminded me of why I actually choose to build my own farms and not generally build farms from tutorials. Because despite it being frustrating, sometimes time-consuming, and very headache-inducing, it's really fun coming up with solutions to problems yourself. And this solution is so uniquely Minecrafty. I mean, look! Signs. Just a bunch of signs. That's it. Signs stop water, and they're completely transparent. They don't have any form of usable hitbox, so items can pass fully through them. This is a feature that has been in the game for many, many years, and it's a feature that you don't really think of, but it's useful and has been used for many, many years. These are the weird idiosyncrasies that make Minecraft an interesting and unique game to play. I mean, look at this redstone contraption. This whole thing's weird. It makes use of rails, and then observers detect the update of a piece of kelp growing above them that allows us to push out the piston. I mean, all of this thing is weird. I know I could have hopped onto YouTube and found a million tutorials for various different kelp farms of various different efficiencies and build one in a very short space of time, and I almost definitely wouldn't have found it quite so frustrating. But this farm right here, this farm's pretty cool. It's needlessly compact. It has one too many signs, maybe a couple hundred too many signs, but it works really, really nicely, and eventually it is going to power my furnace array. And who knows, I might even make the mistake of designing that one myself too. Now, I was going to sign off at this point, but Exuma is currently online, and if he sees that I haven't added an off switch to my gigantic kelp farm, he'll probably punch me in the face and kick me from the server. So the night is now built, the farm is now switched off, everyone on the server likes me, and now I can leave you. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya!